Next up, you said it beforehand, Triple H and CM Punk relationship. So I'm going to give you the quotes because you were there. I've heard it from Stevie as well. They always had like a contentious relationship the first run with CM Punk. But here's what Triple H had to say about Punk.
We've had a couple of moments since his return. Like there was one moment where to return and they had told him something creatively and they told me he does not like this. I was like, okay, I'll talk to him. Went and talked to him and I was like, what's going on? I told him the creative and he was like, that's good, whatever. And I was like, I know you don't like it. Everybody's told me. So like, let's be open. He's well, so then he complained about what it was. And I said, okay, let's go sit and talk about it. Come up with something good. And that sort of changed the paradigm shift for us relationship-wise. And now part of like, it's a funny thing for me to even say, like sitting down and being collaborative with CM Punk is one of my favorite things at TV because he shares a very similar view at the end of the day of the business as I do.
So,
well, that's the difference of creative telling Punk something and Triple H telling Punk something. Creative, they don't know. They know how they would like it to go, but they can't call move and move and move. That's not their job. Their job is to come up with a scenario, and the wrestlers have to make it work in a wrestling context. So, and I do believe that CM Punk and Triple H do share the same vision of wrestling or similar vision. And so it just goes to show you when you go and talk it over and CM Punk says, I don't feel that at all. And if Triple H has any faith in CM Punk, which what he said validates that he does have faith in what he says and what he does, then you can come to a pretty logical conclusion with not a lot of time, because they're speaking the same language. Creative and the talent, they don't speak the same language. They speak similar to each other, but they don't speak the same language. So
why have a writer's room at all then? Why don't you just get wrestlers to collaborate with wrestlers and do
I don't know. Well, I don't think the creative doesn't really have, unless he's been in the business, he doesn't have any business trying to tell two guys or four guys what to do, because he's never been in the ring. Oh, he can write an interview down and say this and say this. But see, we didn't used to do this. When I was in Memphis, Jerry Jarrett would come up to me and he says, your own, he'd look at something and he'd say, oh, your own fourth, and you got an interview right before the match. And what am I talking about? And he says, well, you got Dundee Monday night, or you got Lawler or Steve Kern, or you got them. So he said, just talk them into the building. And he said, anything special? He said, no, just do your interview. And he said, you got 90 seconds. Okay. But you couldn't just take a green guy off the street and tell him to go out there. You'd have to write some bullet points down, but not word for word. Vince had his writers write stuff down, and you better do it word for word. Now, he never bothered me with that. Somebody told Vince I was doing an interview, and they said, but Vince, that's not what he says. He knows what he's doing, because I've been in the business as long as he has, almost. So he said, let it go. He knows what he's doing. So which was an admission that, that at least I knew how to do an interview. You didn't have to write everything down for me. But I like Punk and Triple H sitting down, and Triple H doesn't throw it around that he's your boss or anything. He said, what do you think of this? And Punk tells him, and now they're talking as equals and determining what will work and what won't work. That's the way wrestling is supposed to be done.
Do you think back in the day they hated each other so much because deep down they were really similar?
Well, who knows? They probably are similar. He says they share the same vision of the business, which is believable. I believe that. But I think that Punk had a little bit of a he had a little thing that he wanted to prove, and that thing about headlining WrestleMania, that was a shoot. That was real, because, and if you look back at Punk's work during that period, he was over. People liked him. He got a reaction, and a lot of times he would say things on his own, but it fit the moment perfectly. And the people caught that and they liked him. So does he have a legitimate gripe or bitch about him? Yeah. But then again, the only thing stopping CM Punk or another talent from starting their own company is about $20 million. So now, if you got 20 million, won't you go and get you some talent, book some shows, get you a TV contract, and get you a ring, and hey, let's go. Make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just find it funny, all the stories of CM Punk and Triple H never getting along, and then it just turns out that actually they just needed to sit down and hash it out. I suppose it's a different thing when Triple H was an in-ring competitor and basically going after the same spots as CM Punk was, and now he isn't. Now they can get along.
When I was there the night in Cleveland when Punk quit, and Triple H was there, and I think was he an active competitor then? I can't quite remember.
Yeah, part-time, but he was still wrestling.
Okay. Yeah, so the competitors don't get along. And they shouldn't get along, really. Because if that makes Punk a better performer or makes Triple H a better performer, yeah, that rivalry really works not only for the company, but it works for them.
Well, the original argument was, well, CM Punk, I don't know if this was what led him to leave or partially, he wants to be the main event of WrestleMania, etc. And Triple H said, "You're working with me," and CM Punk said something to the effect of, "I don't need to work with you. You need to work with me."
Yeah, they're jealousy.
Yeah.
That's what it was.